Hi, I thought I'd do a video on the M50 water pump, which is also used in the M52 and M54 engines, possibly some other inline 6 models, and it was used in the E36, E46, E39, I believe E53, and some other models as well. And I thought I'd show you the inside of it, so not just what this looks like, but I've actually been taking one apart by milling it down. So the way this usually would be oriented is like this. And then the bearing would normally go right and down into the center. I pressed it out. So the bearing typically would be in the water pump just like this. And I cut the shaft off where the belt for the accessory drive would go, and also at the impeller. Now the interesting thing about this design is the weep hole, in my opinion. So you can see the weep hole right here. It kind of looked like a defect when I was taking it apart, but it's a hole that's drilled through. It comes right out through the other side, right there, possibly a little hard to see. And you can see the weep hole on the new HEPU unit as well. It's right there. So the way this actually works is this snout here is aluminum. It should be dry. Right here, there's a seal at the very front next to the impeller that is supposed to keep this area dry. So that would be inside of here normally. Then the bearing, it gets pressed all the way down until it's here, and that bearing is what supports your accessory drive for the car. When the water pump begins to fail, that seal fails, and all this from this O-ring out to here is going to be coolant. And the coolant's able to get back inside of here where it's supposed to be dry, and it exits the weep hole, giving you an indication the water pump's about to fail, or that seal has failed. If you don't catch that in time, what ends up happening is the coolant ends up getting up on this side of the bearing, and while it's sealed, from what I can tell, it's kind of hard to see because I destroyed it taking it apart, but that seal is really intended to keep grease in. It's not intended to keep coolant out, and once it's submerged, the coolant makes its way into the bearing and quickly destroys it. So what I've always noticed is on these water pumps, when they fail, if you still have a mechanical fan attached to it, it will start to wobble kind of like this as the car is running, and you'll see coolant coming out between this pump body and where the belt goes. This kind of explains it, because the coolant's coming into here, and then it's riding up against that seal, making its way completely through the bearing, through the seal, and out the other side. Another thing to note is that this water pump that I took apart was originally a genuine BMW pump, and it had the plastic or composite impeller on it. It was actually in great shape. I've always seen these fail where the bearings fail, and not where the impeller fails. And this kind of explains why. So I hope you found this interesting. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. This is Chesapeake Motorworks, over and out.